All right. Hey, looks like we're live.
We're here.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you today live from the Mancast Network New Jersey
The
studios,
basement studio.
the basement studio. It's Opinion City Live. I'm your host, Ralph Heinmarch. He's my co host and my tag team partner, and the Adam Cole to my MJF baby. It's Parma Sean Russell.
Yeah, boy.
Oh yeah, this is our first live show, so please bear with us a little bit here. We are excited to be here live on YouTube, and we are ready to talk about the massive, incredible, unbelievable, history-making show that we just watched called AEW All In. If you did not see this show, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Because you need to see this show. If you did not get a chance to see it, get there. And spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about all the matches, all the
Oh
results.
yeah, we're gonna go match by match. We're gonna go through our thoughts on each match and just go through the card and give you our take on the match as a whole, the cards as a whole, and just go through it.
Absolutely.
81,035 people attended this crowd capacity crowd in Wembley Stadium. So
Yeah, it's I mean the crowd
history making,
the
history making.
the crowd was legitimately hot from beginning to end. I'm talking about every single match, and there were some burners in the beginning, but that crowd stayed hot all the way until the very end and the end of the main event. Like, they were just hot for everything.
It was a hot crowd the entire night. They were not quiet, I think, really ever.
And to be completely honest, and we'll throw this one out there just quickly now, because I think this really kind of relates to the hot crowd. They've already announced All In for next year
Yep,
is
they
going to
said
be
next
back at
year,
Wembley.
2024, they're going to be back. So I think that's going to be their WrestleMania
Yeah,
officially.
I think it's pretty exciting. It's a testament to the fans over there. It's a testament to everyone that came out and bought tickets for the show. As they announced during the show, the final count was 81,035 fans, and that is
Just crazy,
that is
just
unbelievably incredible.
nuts for their first big show. That's like got to be unheard of for a 4-year-old company. Just 4 years in, just insane.
Yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to run through this card. We're going to start all the way at the beginning. The show kicked off quite early, actually. There was a pre zero hour
There was
zero
like a
hour show.
pre-show to the pre-show.
Yeah, so lots of coverage. But we start off with the match that we were quite frankly surprised that they made, but something that we were quite looking forward to, as it would directly relate to our main event. And this was Aussie Open defending the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships against the team of Better Than You, Bebe,
Baby.
which actually came out with the Better Than You, Bebe, and the whole thing was just amazing.
It was a great start to the show, especially the crowd was already hot for them in general. Just a good start. Their entrance was great. Their team was great. The whole story of them against Aussie Open was great.
The match was actually really
The match
good.
was really good.
I was very surprised. I didn't expect much out of it. I really thought that there was going to be maybe some shenanigans somewhere involved. I thought that maybe Roderick Strong might make his presence felt during this match. But to be completely honest, I mean, it was a really good match. MJF and Adam Cole looked good. Aussie Open looked great.
Looked fantastic.
They gave them a lot of time to get their stuff in, and they looked really good. I did enjoy just the whole look of everything. MJF and Adam Cole in the all white, with the exception of Adam Cole's black boots, but like the whole look of them, it started off the show and it made it feel like it was a big show.
Yeah,
Like,
and the stage itself was just really cool. Like I love like the one tunnel, if you will, the square tunnel. The graphics behind it was really cool. So everyone's entrances seemed, just that little extra mile. And there were actual special entrances during this show, which we'll get into a little bit later on.
yeah, that entranceway, seriously, I think might be my new favorite entranceway, just because the whole little hallway that they came through was, the video screens inside the hallway. So I've seen a lot of great entrances over the years. I think this is one of my favorites. But again, Aussie Open looked great. Better Than You, Bebe looked great. And of course, we had MJF and Cole with the double clothesline for the win.
For the win. New ROH World Tag Team Champions. Now, I know during the show we mentioned this. You said you weren't a huge fan of that outcome just because you think that might tarnish the ROH World Tag Team Championships.
All right. Well, so going into the show, my thought was, if we have MJF and Cole and they win the titles, then what happens? Because if things don't work out for them in the main event, then we're not just like breaking up MJF and Adam Cole. We're not just splitting them up. Now we're putting like the Ring of Honor tag team titles in jeopardy, that whole situation. So I was just a little concerned going into this that maybe we weren't going to get, a real fair deal for the tag titles moving forward. But nonetheless, MJF and Cole get the win. And so, I mean, to start off the show, I think this was a great match. It was nice to see Aussie Open get, some time on the card, even if it was on the pre-show. But honestly, I mean, looking at the crowd, it looked like a lot of people came for the pre-show.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is not always the case.
It wasn't at capacity at that point, but it was getting pretty damn close to being at capacity at that point during the 0 hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a pre-show that we said before that we'll have to mention real quick. They did a thing where Powerhouse Hobbs came out with his security team to sign the contract for Mio for All Out next week. There was a brawl happened. Mio got the upper hand, yada, yada, yada. You know how most contract signings go. But yeah, there was a pre-show angle before the 0 hour. But yeah, that's besides the point.
Yeah. All right. So they do show Mercedes Moné in the crowd at this point, which is kind of big for AEW. And
they might have a new signing on their hands. We don't know yet, but
she got a nice pop.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go on record and say I'm not a big fan, and I don't think this is going to be good for the AEW the women's division. And I say that because you and I had the conversation later on in the show where you said, I hope they don't bring her in and she just gets a title shot right off the bat without like paying her dues. And I think
I want her to earn her shot. If she's going to come in, she needs to start fresh. Sorry, you're in a new company. We know you're a good name, but Sarai did the same thing. She came in and she had to earn her spot to get where she was, which we'll explain later on in the show.
My issue at this point is that I think Mercedes Moné is at a point in her career where she's doing the things she wants to do for the reasons that she wants to do them. And I think that she's going to end up going through that exact situation where she's going to get a title shot right off the bat for no reason. She's not going to earn her spot because I feel like that's what AEW is going to have to give her to sign her. So
yeah, they need to have star power.
This is all just conjecture at this point.
This is a hearsay.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
We don't know what's going to happen, but we're just kind of going off of it.
Yeah. All right. So just recently announced this week, our second match on the card is Jack Perry versus Hook for the FTW championship.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, if Aussie Open and Adam Cole was a good way to start the show, this was a freaking great way to start the show
before the show started. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And it was the first special entrance. Jack Perry came out in a limo all the way to the stage. And then they used the limo pretty much the entire match for all the big spots.
So the limo was dope to begin with. That was sick. That on the pre-show. I mean, you can tell they're building something with Jack Perry. They're building a character. They're trying to build a look and a feel for him. But
they're really trying to do away with the Jungle Boy gimmick and really make Jack Perry just Jack Perry.
Yeah, and I mean, we had some crazy stuff. We had Rolling Thunder on the limo from the limo roof onto the windshield.
It was such a perfect spot. They must have rehearsed that so many times because it was just perfect.
And then we had a perfect plex onto the windshield that smashed the windshield.
Yep, which Jack Perry said was real. Cry Me a River.
Mm-hmm. And then Jack Perry was setting up for Coast to Coast, and just as he's about to make the jump, he gets down off the turnbuckle and double flips off the crowd.
Yep, he basically was like, "Nope, I ain't doing that. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not Shane McMahon."
To help cement that heel gimmick.
Yep.
So
so many good spots in that match too. So many good spots in that match.
Yeah, a great match. Definitely worth checking out. And Hook gets the win via submission, and we have a new
FTW champion.
Yes, and I think that's much better than Jack Perry retiring the belt.
Yeah, and I was saying to Ralph during the show that for a championship that's unrecognized, that's a pretty decent lineage in AEW so far.
Well, and I think I think they're trying to make it important. I think they're trying to build something, especially with the lineage with Hook and with Taz, and I think they're trying to build something there with that. So, they have enough hardcore matches in AEW without any real consequences anyway, so they might as well have a championship that's evolved around that.
Yeah.
All right, so now we get on to the actual card itself.
The main
And
card.
Unbelievably, this show opened with CM Punk and Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I was shocked when that happened because I didn't know what the first match was going to be, and the fact that it was this match for the real world title, quote unquote, was just a stellar way to open the match, and they went all out just to really show how the show can start off the right way.
So let's take a look at some of the highlights. First off, we have Kane's fire in Samoa Joe's entrance. Like
Samoa Joe now has Kane's fire.
He gets to the ring and they hit the fire, and it was just incredible. Early on in the match, Samoa Joe was just eating chops from CM Punk like they were nothing. Definitely showing his dominance. They almost did the spot in the ring where Punk jumps off the rope and Joe got in on it, and Joe walked out of the way, and so they did not finish that spot. But they did it again later on where CM Punk was diving over the rope, and unfortunately Joe walked out of the way, and it was absolutely brilliant. Just such a cool spot.
Yeah, it was such a really cool spot. So yeah, that was a fantastic thing.
They did a spot where Joe started Sami Zayn's song with the crowd, and then pulled a Sami Zayn move on Punk, so that was kind of cool. And this was a theme during the show. Joe threw CM Punk through the bottom of the announce table, and Punk just smashes through the bottom like nothing, and then Joe flips him off.
Yeah.
So this is, you'll see, this is going to be a running theme throughout the show, where the poor announce table, because they had no Spanish announce table, so it was just the regular announce table itself, and it takes a beating.
It takes a big beating.
Yeah. So
not the entire match.
So then we went through a number of spots in the very beginning where Punk did John Cena's whole "you can't see me" thing, but then instead of doing the 5-knuckle shuffle, he did the Hulk Hogan, the Hulk Hogan move, and
there was a whole
leg.
like Hogan spot and stuff like that. It was kind of cool.
So then after he did the leg, Samoa Joe started hulking up, and then Samoa Joe did the Cody Slam. The snap power slam. So then Joe did the STF, and then Punk tried to hit the Ric Flair figure 4 on Samoa Joe, which was unsuccessful. But I gotta say, this match was just incredible from start to finish. I feel like this match really set a tone for the show. Just really, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just incredible. I think it was a fitting way to conclude this whole Punk and Joe sort of modern day trilogy, as they were.
Yeah. It was a great way to like kind of cap it off. I think this might be their final match during that feud, because they've seemed very much of a clean finish for that.
Yeah, so Punk hits the Pepsi plunge for the win. Punk moves on with the Real World Championship, and Samoa Joe goes back to focusing on the Ring of Honor Television Championship, which I think is best for everyone.
Yeah, Samoa Joe needs to focus on the one belt rather than more than one. It was a good outing, but he has the ROH TV title, which he's the king of TV, and Punk is the king of wrestling, as he claims to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on, the next match we had was the Golden Elite against the Bullet Club Gold. And when we were watching this match, the one statement that came up the whole time was this was an absolute spot fest.
Oh, it was a spot fest.
Just
so many good spots, though. It was a very good spot fest.
It was, though. That's the thing. And I really enjoyed Kenny Omega and Ibushi having the matching gear. I thought was just amazing. Just I feel like not enough teams do that. I would have liked to have seen Hangman in matching gear as well, but I just I feel like it completes something. I feel like it gives it a special feel.
I get that, but as I was telling us as we were watching the show, Hangman has always been a solo guy. Even when he was with the Elite, he kind of always had his own gear away from them. So having the Golden Lovers, Coda and Omega made sense. Hangman just kind of always does his own thing. He's the solo Page. He's always kind of by himself.
Yeah. So the other thing about this match is not just it being a spot fest, but this match was strong style in full force.
Oh, I mean, absolutely.
This match was so
many hard hitting V triggers and knees and super kicks, and just so many kicks to the face.
At one point, Jay White had Kenny Omega in a leg lock, and he was playing guitar on Kenny's leg.
Which was hilarious.
Great. Hangman Page had an amazing hot tag where he's
like has one of the best hot tags ever, next to like Nick Jackson, because he just goes berserk. You hot in the ring, out of the ring, on the apron, dives, moonsaults. He just does everything at one time without taking like a breath.
Yeah. So Kenny Omega hit a series of snapdragons in the ring, which
was my favorite part of him.
Unbelievable.
I love his snapdragons. They're just so quick and so like quick with it. Like he just snaps you.
They were absolutely incredible. I guess we were trying to figure out what to call this because they really didn't seem to know what to call it on the broadcast either, but Hangman hit something that we can only describe as a 360 power slam from the top.
Oh yeah, it was almost like a Spanish fly power slam.
it's like nothing I've ever seen before.
It was really freaking cool.
So we have the jumping knee, and Takeshita rolls up Omega for the win.
Yep. Which I wasn't expecting, because I thought that out of the Golden Trios match, if you want to call it that, because it's golden everywhere, that the Elite was going to get their win back after this big old feud, but nope. Takeshita got it, roll up, got the win, and they were out of there. So I guess this might be building to a match at All Out next week.
It could be, because All Out is
literally next Sunday.
Yeah, literally next Sunday. So the one thing I really thought was hilarious during this match is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Jim Ross, who, by the way, let me just throw out there, it was great seeing Jim Ross on commentary again.
Jim Ross, a legend.
If you have seen him lately, Jim Ross looks amazing. Looks like he's in great health. With all the problems that he's had going on, he looks phenomenal. And Jim Ross out of nowhere says, "Why is everything golden?"
Yep, because it's the Golden Elite versus the Bullet Club Gold. So why is everything golden?
Why is everything golden?
There was no gold on the line, but it was everything gold.
I don't believe anybody answered him, but he just pondered the question.
He just had a question out loud, which JR just keep doing you, man. Just keep doing you.
So I was surprised about this win because the Bullet Club Gold winning this match, because really my thought was whatever happens to the Golden Elite, the opposite will happen to the Young Bucks. So I thought the Golden, because I didn't think the Young Bucks were going to win, so I thought Golden Elite had to win this one.
Yeah.
Because I really thought FTR is going to take the win, going into the show. So I was really shocked when this happened. I did not see it coming. But either way, and this was something we talked about before, as long as it's a good match, win or loser, whoever, as long as it's just a good match. And this was a great trios match, showcasing why, AEW really kind of excels with some of their trios stuff. So it's great.
Their main focus, more than the solo matches, is their tag matches and trios matches. They really take a heart in keeping trios matches and tag team matches alive and well, and keeping that in spotlight, because we all know that Vince hates tag matches and Vince hates tag teams. So seeing Khan kind of do the opposite and really put that on blast is really cool to see, especially on these big shows like the big show, like All In.
Yeah, absolutely. So leading off after this, we go right from the Golden Elite to the Young Bucks versus FTR, which was not only for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, but honestly, this was for all the marbles here. This was
basically
who was the best,
the best tag team in wrestling.
Yeah,
FTR or the Young Bucks.
And we started things off with a bang with the Bucks coming out with a new entrance where at the very beginning they had a song playing called "A Super Kick Knocks You Out" with lyrics playing on the screen,
which was great.
which was really cool. And then once they came out to the stage, then they hit their normal theme music and made their way to the ring. But in stark contrast to that, FTR came out, no frills, nothing special, just two guys walk into the ring with their titles.
FTR comes out like a man on like men on a mission. They just come out with their classic. I love their 80s style themes. I love their 80s vibe, their 80s Tron, just everything. I love all the vibes about it.
The video is really cool because the video looks like an actual I mean, and it's just their names, but it looks like an actual, old 80s VHS tape.
Yeah, which I love that too.
Really cool.
And it was just a barn burner of a match. It was just they did everything they possibly could. There were so many 2.99999 kickouts in this match. Like, it was just so good.
There were. And we had some really great spots in this match where we had the teams sort of mirroring the moves of each other, basically, in essence, doing the same moves at the same time, just to kind of show that, exactly who they are and, that they're so sort of evenly matched. We had Dax breaking the announce table, which was pretty crazy.
Oh, yeah, which then became kind of like the break of the night. They kept trying to just put it back, and then people kept breaking it the entire night.
every time, because like every time somebody got near the table, they would like touch a piece of the table, like
just break.
Like Dax gets flung at the table, and he doesn't even hit the table. He just puts his hand out and grabs the side of it, and the whole side falls off.
He just
like this was. I mean, I feel like they bought this thing at the dollar store and just made it during craft night.
Yeah, basically.
that was the only thing I think of this whole show that I think they could have improved on was the quality of the announce table.
Oh, we didn't mention earlier, but the spot that caused the table was when Joe threw CM Punk through the bottom of the announce table.
Well, that was
what started the whole thing,
and then it just continued on from the night. There is a moment during the match where Cash Wheeler comes in, and I'd swear he was running 900 miles an hour across the ring when he hit a dive through the ropes.
Oh man, like there was so much fast-paced action that sometimes it was hard to keep up because they were just doing spot for spot for spot sometimes. Even though FTR is like a non-high-flying thing, there was a point where Dash went to go for like a 450 splash. He missed it, but like the fact that he went for a 450 splash just shows like they just wanted to go. They went for it all.
Yeah,
they would do anything to get that win.
It was crazy, and there were so many false finishes back and forth. Just every time you thought somebody was done, the match continued, and so we ended up with FTR hitting a shatter machine out of nowhere. And we are coining that term here, the shatter machine out of nowhere. And FTR gets the win.
Yep.
After the match, FTR gets back in the ring with the Bucks and offers them the proverbial handshake, and the Bucks tell them proverbially pound sand.
They get noped.
So
big nopes.
Just a few things I want to point out about this match, things that I really enjoyed. From the very beginning, we saw when FTR came out, on the right arm, they were wearing armbands that said Brody and Bray, and then on the left arm they had one that said Jay.
Yeah,
and
this whole show there was like, I love that there was like little nuanced tributes to Bray throughout the entire show, and even Nigel on commentary would say the Fireflies are out, or he would mention something about Bray, or it was just so cool.
And he specifically called out their armbands during this match. And I also thought it was really neat that FTR had the FTR logo on the back of their tights, but it was with the British flag.
Yeah.
So a lot of different call outs to the fact that they were in London for the first time. So that was really cool. But this was just a great match. Just a lot of back and forth, a lot of great wrestling. I feel like this really, again, we just talked about how AEW really, puts themselves out there with tag team wrestling and trios wrestling. And I think this was just a phenomenal example of this.
And I think after that very first match with Punk and Joe, everyone else wanted to be like, wow, they started that off with a bang. We all need to be on our A game to match that first match, because they set the stage. They literally set the stage for the rest of the card.
Yeah, you hear that so many times where wrestlers talk about how, somebody goes out there during the first match and just lights it up, and then it's like, hey, follow that. And people try. So you always want to be the best card of the night, or the best match on the card of the night. So they definitely put in a great performance there, and congratulations to FTR on the win. I feel like they're gonna and I feel like this is gonna be as much as this was like the rubber match, I don't think this is over between the Bucks and FTR.
No.
Just with the way the Bucks refused to shake hands at the end. I think we're going to revisit this at some point. However,
they need to revisit it with CM Punk and Kenny Omega. They need to do the Elite versus CMFTR. At this point, I know there's beef backstage with them, but it's good business and it's good money. That match, whenever it happens, will make them money because people want to see it.
If I had the pencil and I had the book, I would be working that for the main event of All In next year. I would be
just
running this for an entire year.
Say your apologies. By God's be God counts for wrestling. Both sides hash it out. I know Punk says he's been trying to hash it out, but they won't give him the time of day. But they need to hash it out. If the fact that Punk is trying and they're like, nope, says more about the Elite than it does about Punk. Punk is willing to let it go, and by God's be God, but the Elite's like, no.
I think in the world of wrestling, eventually, everybody comes to terms and they're like, listen, there's money to be made here. Let's do what's right for the fans. I think it'll come around, but for now it is what it is. But I definitely think we're going to see this rivalry again in some form.
I really hope so, because they always put out good matches. Every time they're out together, they put out great matches.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So moving on, in stark contrast to Amazing Tag Team Wrestling, we get the
Stadium Stampede,
the bloody mess.
Oh, it's a mess.
The car wreck that was just incredible from beginning to end, but just an absolute disaster. You had everything you could think of in this match. Barbed wire poles.
There was barbed wire everything in this match. They had tables, they had slabs, they had bats, they had.
and this thing,
everything.
This thing took off all over the stadium, including way up into the cheap seats in the
very
rafters.
top. Yeah,
they were all over the place. It did take Moxley an undeterminate amount of time to bleed.
We
However,
were both wrong about our guesstimates. He did not bleed within 30 seconds. He actually took him like maybe 10 minutes to bleed. So props to Mox for not bleeding when he walked out on the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. But this match was just a car wreck from beginning to end. It definitely lived up to the name of Stadium Stampede. I feel like this one was a little more violent.
It was definitely more violent, but in terms of like how you said during the show, the other Stampede, because they were in COVID and because they could do kind of more like cinematic-y with it, like for instance, Hangman Adam Page walking out with a horse in the stadium, which I don't think can ever be retouched or redone again.
Yeah,
but it was still a great match. I don't know if you mentioned it yet. I'm gonna mention it now, but the Blackpool Combat Club's coats were probably they walked out looking so freaking cool, man. They had like these trench coats with their logo on it, which I want one so bad. Mox looked like a badass.
Yeah, it was
just so cool.
It was like this pea coat looking thing. It was just amazing. They really, they walked out and they were instantly the coolest guys in the room.
They looked just like ridiculous. They were made. Like at that point, you almost knew that they were going to win the match because but definitely. Then that didn't happen.
Yeah. So this match ends with
Sue.
Well, listen, there's a couple things to talk about.
A few things.
But the match ends with Orange Cassidy, who has taken duct tape and run it backwards on his hand and then broken a bottle in a little plastic bin and put glass all over his hands, just like a little Axl Rotten tribute there.
I feel like that was also like a little nod to Terry Funk too, because of the whole hardcore how hardcore Terry Funk was. I think that was a nod to him too. But yeah, Axl Rotten for sure.
So Orange Cassidy tries for the orange punch and misses. It does not work, but he then manages to try again and hits what I'm calling the freshly broken orange punch, because man. So he hits Claudio with that, and Orange Cassidy, of all people, gets the pin, which I think is amazing. But this was just
there were skewer spots. There were just so many. Any hardcore spot they could think of in this match, other than thumbtacks, they did. Yeah, they did the broken broken glass. They did the skewers in Moxley's head, which just crazy. They and again they had literally barbed wire made everything at this point.
Yeah.
The only thing was missing was the barbed wire deathmatch ring.
So after the match is over, and this is just a great moment because it tells you like everything you need to know about the storyline. But after the match is over, Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley are laying outside in the remnants of a broken barbed wire table, and Eddie just looks over at Moxley and gives him the finger.
And he just flips them off while they're just laying there together. He's like, "Nope, f you, man!" Like,
so perfect.
oh, and right out of the jump, Eddie wasted no time entering the ring. As soon as his music hit, he passed everyone and just went straight for Claudio.
He actually pushed people out of his
yeah,
way
he
to
went
run
straight for
around.
Claudio. He's like, "I'm coming to kill you. Everybody move out of my way. Claudio, you're mine."
But this match featured Trent's mom Sue and the minivan,
The return of Sue.
and Sue's tray of treats that they used to.
They used the poor treats.
Yes, oh, it was great.
The poor treats got wasted.
We saw Evil Penta come out.
Yes, we saw. So Penta got beat up for a while, and we didn't see him for a while. We didn't know where he went, and then all of a sudden his music hits, and then he's all in red gear. So we don't know if he changed or if, like someone said, we're watching that maybe he just reversed the clothes and just had it in reverse and just changed out. So either way, that was a cool spot.
Yeah. So a great match, a lot of fun. Definitely lived up to Stadium Stampede. I think based on the participants, it lived up to the violence that we were probably expecting out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, there were a lot of scores to settle in this one. And I think that...
a lot of blood feuds.
Yeah. So I definitely think there will be more from these because I don't... who knows if the feud is settled or not, but hopefully we see more from them because it was just it was a lot of fun.
Where would you rank this among your Stadium Stampede matches so far?
I would say that this is probably like my second favorite Stadium Stampede.
Was the first with the Page and the horse?
Well, yeah. I mean, that there's just something special about that because there's
it was just something that you never see again.
Special about this, and for me, I don't think this match was as much as a Stadium Stampede as we'd seen other matches be, just because of the nature that they were there in a live crowd of 81,000.
Yeah, there was no pandemic blocking them from having a crowd.
So I don't
max
think
crowd.
I don't think it necessarily lived up to Stadium Stampede, but I mean, it was a train wreck in a good way.
Oh yeah.
I would say this is probably second. And I also I really enjoyed. I enjoyed a lot of people that were in this match.
Oh yeah,
I think Blackpool Combat Club is amazing.
Yeah, they're. I think they're like the new big faction of like just wrestling in general. You have Yuta, you have Claudio, you have Mox, you have Brian who's injured, but still you have Brian.
Yeah.
You had Regal who started it all, so good on you, Regal, for starting a great faction.
Yeah.
And then you had the returning Santana with his with Ortiz, who they kept teasing that they might not ever be a team again because I guess they were having issues behind the scenes, but I guess now they're good, so awesome. But everything got changed around because Phoenix, I guess, had visa issues because he's trying to become a U.S. citizen. So Phoenix was pulled. That's why they put in Tito and Santana, and it turned in from a 6-on-6 to a 5-on-5.
So yeah, for me, being a Chikara fan, this match had Eddie Kingston, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Orange Cassidy, Chuck Taylor. Like it was just
it had basically almost every phenomenal like Chikara wrestler except for Penta. I don't think he was ever in Chikara, was he?
Not that I know of, and I don't believe Jon Moxley was ever there either.
No, even though he did.
I'm not sure Trent Beretta was ever there either, although Chuck Taylor did lose a match where he was no longer allowed to legally use his own name. And so as he came up with different names for himself at every show, one of the shows that he wrestled on, his name was Trent Beretta. So technically Trent Beretta wrestled in Chikara, but not really the Trent Beretta we know.
not our Trent Beretta.
No. All right. Moving on, we had our 4-way for the AEW
Women's Championship match.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we had Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Saraya, and Shida.
The entrances in this one were just phenomenal. Ralph missed part of it, but that's okay. Saraya came out to We Will Rock You by Queen and had her entire family walk out with her to a massive pop from the UK crowd, our hometown crowd. That was just really cool to see. And then Toni Storm's entrance was just awesome.
Yeah, Tony Storm was great too. Just
a thing of beauty.
paying tribute to her English heritage, and it was just phenomenal.
She basically turned into like the Marilyn Monroe of AEW.
Yeah, it was great. And then and I'm just gonna throw this out there. During Britt Baker's entrance, Nigel McGuinness said something about, it must be strange for Britt Baker, wrestling over here as a dentist because of all the bad teeth in England. Like,
all the references in this show are just hilarious to me.
He went there. But and then when Sheeta came out, she had pyro and flames and possibly a different theme.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a new theme for her because I don't remember that theme before. Her old theme was more like reminiscent of her heritage, where she came from. It wasn't as like hard rocky or edgy. So I think they changed her theme too for this one night. I think Saraya was also one night because after the outcome of the match, her old theme played rather than her new theme. So
yeah. I do think though that the pyro and the flames for Sheeta was definitely warranted, as she is the champion. Yep. She was the first champion ever. So there's a lot of history there. So I think
I thought Riho was the first champion.
She was she was champion some time ago.
She was the champion that like made the belt, I think.
I think she was the longest reigning during COVID.
Yeah, she was the longest reigning champion. But I think,
I mean, it definitely it definitely was warranted for her. A nice little pop there for her. I don't know how much longer she's staying around. I don't know if she's going to be around for a while, but it's, it was nice to see that. But there were some really, this match was a lot of fun. This match pretty much cemented the destruction, I believe, of the Outcast.
Oh, the Outcast. Oh, dude, that spot was great when Saraya's mom tried to help Tony. Tony just socked her one, and Saraya's reaction when Tony punched her mom was just utter shock, and I think immediately felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of the end for the Outcast. Ruby even came out later on during the match to try and hash things out, and Tony socked her. So it's that I think that's just the end of the Outcast. That's it. They're done.
Well, and it was interesting because they made a comment about this on commentary where Tony Storm and Saraya were both trying to get the pin.
Yeah.
And they tried it like 3 times and it wasn't working. And Saraya looked at Tony and said, "We talked about this."
Yeah. There was a plan.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what was going on there, but it was the start of the cracks in the Outcasts. And
yeah, I think they're on Wednesday done. We'll see if they're officially done or not, especially with Saraya now. The outcome, the winner of the match was Saraya in front of her hometown crowd. The crowd went absolutely nuts. When she won. There was fireworks, there was pyro. Her whole family got in the ring. Her dad, who must have been like 35 years in, was freaking the hell out when he saw her daughter win live.
Well, and the thing about it is you've got to mention the way that she won.
Oh, yeah.
She sprayed Tony Storm in the face and got the pin.
Yep. She pinned her Outcast member.
It's done.
Which I think further cemented the end of the Outcast.
But I think it'll be, it's not the ending that I picked. But I think that it'll be interesting to see Saraya as champion.
Do you think somebody should have won more so than Saraya, or are you okay with Saraya winning the belt? Or are you mixed?
I'm kind of on the fence because I'm okay with it. Like, it's not a big deal to me. But my prediction for this match was that Britt Baker was going to win the match, and as she's celebrating in the ring, Thunder Rosa's music was going to hit. Thunder Rosa was going to come out because I'm sure Thunder Rosa was there. I'm sure she was doing Spanish commentary. So I think Thunder Rosa would have come out and, got in Britt Baker's face and said, that's my title. Because for me, there is nothing to be done with the AEW Women's World Title until we see the issue between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Resolved, because we go through this whole big thing with CM Punk coming out and saying, well, I'm the real world champion because I never lost the belt and this is my title. Thunder Rosa could come out and say the exact same thing.
She could, but then
she's in the same boat.
Just copying the same thing. You don't want to have 2, real world champions unless
I honestly
like,
don't really care because I don't think it's fair that CM Punk gets to go through all of this, and then
the only way
when it comes to Thunder Rosa, they're just like, whatever.
The only way I can see them doing this is if, like you mentioned in an earlier episode, or just even off the air, if they do a unification match with MJF versus CM Punk, and then you do the same thing with like Britt Baker and whoever, or not Britt Baker. I mean, it could be Britt, but like whoever has the
I
both
think
belts, you
I
can
think
do.
it has
You
to
could
be Britt.
Britt versus Thunder Rosa for both
Look,
belts.
I just
Have one clear winner and then trash the other belt.
to give CM
Throw it in the
Punk,
trash can.
to give CM Punk that option, to give CM Punk that opportunity, and not give it to Thunder Rosa as well. I just think that's lazy booking. I'm sorry. But moving on, let's get to our next match, which I mean, you want to talk about? Listen, so we talk about what match is gonna, be the best match on the card, blah blah blah, all these things. But to me, this was the biggest surprise out of all of them because honestly, watching the things that they did in this match, watching the
This
things
match
that
was
Sting
crazy.
did, watching the things that Darby Allin did.
Sting is 64 and Christian's 49. So like they
And
do
Christian
have
as well,
older
yeah.
wrestlers in here, but they were both wrestling again like they were in their prime. I mean, Christian I think is right now kind of in his prime, but Sting is just nuts. Sting bends the limits of like wrestling. Like he just goes. I think at this point he doesn't care about his body. Not that he doesn't care, but like he doesn't care what he does in the ring. Like he really wants to end his career on his terms, so he's willing to do anything and everything in order to do that.
I think he's really trying to have this one last run that is just impressive and going out there and just doing everything and anything he can. And I think he's having a lot of fun trying to keep up with Darby Allin. I think he's loving every minute of it. I think these big matches for him are something that, if he really is winding down on his career, I think these are moments that he's going to treasure.
You want to talk about like a dart, like how Darby is like a dart whenever he dives. We missed it earlier, and I'm going to bring it back. Just say it. When Cash Wheeler dove out of the ropes on the Young Bucks, going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I don't even know if it was a spear. It was just he just threw his body at Nick with no care, and it was like a Darby move. It was like he pulled a Darby out of nowhere.
Yeah,
but yeah, there were so many coffin. The coffin got beat up. I think the coffin got more beat up than the wrestlers got beat up. There were so many dense headshots, spots with the splashes and the coffin drops. Also, there was a coffin flop.
Yes, the coffin flop. I mean, we had cricket bats, we had thumbtack jackets, which Darby Allin and Sting both wore thumbtack jackets and did stinger splashes. We had Luchasaurus came out, and Luchasaurus headbutted Nick Wayne because Nick Wayne came out first, and Luchasaurus headbutted Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne was holding onto a skateboard, and Luchasaurus headbutted him so hard that the skateboard flung out of Nick Wayne's hands and hit the camera.
They almost knocked down the cameraman because of that move.
It was great. And one of the things I had really been hoping for in all of this, because I love wrestling entrances. They're like my absolute favorite thing.
Oh, that was the best part of the entrance. Sting's entrance.
I wanted special entrances for this and for this show, and we got them here.
So many good ones.
Swerve got wrapped to the ring.
That was cool.
Which was really cool.
But Sting outshined all of them.
Yeah.
By bringing in
Sting and Darby Allin.
Metallica.
Yeah. Sting
his
and Darby
old
Allin
theme.
They had a little video package ahead of time where they're walking the streets of London, and Sting is dressed like Jack the Ripper. He's got the top hat on, and he's got the old coat on, but it's got Sting spray painted on the back. And so they're walking through the streets, and they kind of stop, and Darby says to him, "Is it time?" And Sting says, "No, it's not just time. It's showtime."
And he had the coolest, like Joker-esque Sting face paint on.
He so did. And then
even when he walked out,
the Metallica music hit, and out they come, and it was just incredible. Sting's Joker makeup was just ridiculous.
On point.
Yeah. So then, of course, we had a coffin drop onto Swerve, who was laying on top of the coffin to finish the match, and we get Swerve in the coffin, and Darby Allin and Sting, to no one's surprise, I believe.
No, I think that was expected. I don't think anybody expected Swerve or Christian to win that match.
I don't think anybody expected Sting to fly to England to lose.
No. Just that match had so many crazy spots from Sting and from Darby. It was just, dude, talk about spot. We keep missing so many spots that I'm thinking about now. Like, do you like in the same
look? If we wrote down notes on every single spot, like this, I would just mention the one,
the Stadium Stampede match where Penta and Santana both were climbing the ladder, but Penta went the wrong way, broke the ladder, and then Abraham had to hold it, and then they still did the spot perfectly. But like, they broke the ladder because they were going the wrong way.
So this is going to bring us into what I would call our semi-main event, even though it was, not the second to last match, but it was definitely, I think, one of the most anticipated matches on the card next to our main event. And this is Chris Jericho, the Ocho, Will Ospreay. The excitement level for me on this match was through the roof.
And we
I
got to
was
see
so
Fozzy.
excited.
Fozzy also played out Jericho live. Well, Jericho played himself out live.
Well, and that was incredible. They were
That was cool.
They were up on top of the entranceway playing, and Jericho came down and sang himself through. Of course, Jericho did the whole Queen thing up there.
Yeah, that was really
Fozzy
cool.
played.
Yeah, they did a little Queen nod.
Yeah, it was really cool.
The match was better than I expected.
The match was good. I was
good.
Really happy with the match. We had a ton of things to talk about. Will Ospreay's kept up. I mean, if you have not seen that,
perfect.
It's unreal. This was another match that I was very surprised. This was a very hard-hitting match. The chops and the punches and the shots, like these guys were really teeing off on each other. Like
they were going all out for this match. You could tell
that like they were really playing up the, we don't like each other thing.
No.
And really hitting each other. Jericho hit a German suplex on the ring apron to Ospreay, which was
brutal,
absolutely sick. I mean,
Will Ospreay was like shaking his hand, like his hand was numb. He sold it perfectly.
Yeah, Will Ospreay looked like he got folded in half.
Oh, he did. Absolutely.
And so Sammy Guevara got involved in the match at one point where Jericho had the walls of Jericho on Ospreay, and Sammy outside the ring with a baseball bat.
Clocked him a
good one. Yep. Jericho hit a low blow and then hit a Judas effect for a 2 count.
Yep.
Was great. And then the end of the match, Jericho was down on his knees and sort of egging on Will Ospreay, telling him to hit me. And
boy did he.
Oh,
did he clock him one.
Yeah, he clocked him one.
I think it's called the Stormbreaker or whatever that move is called.
Mm-hmm. He got the Stormbreaker for the win. And I was sort of hoping that Will Ospreay was going to win. Not that Jericho didn't need it or not, but I'm a Will Ospreay stan. I always have been. I think he's just a phenomenal wrestler, one of the best wrestlers outside of WWE to make it, especially in New Japan where he made his name. So it just shows that not everyone needs to make their name in WWE. They can make their name outside of WWE just as well. And look at what Jericho was able to do when he went to New Japan and reinvented himself.
That was the start of this whole Painmaker, Ocho, Le Champion. Everything started basically when he faced Kenny Omega back in 2016. As soon as he was let go from WWE, and said, "I can make a name for myself elsewhere. I'll prove you wrong." And I love the whole Jericho New Japan nuance where he kept flipping off the fans every time he got a chance to.
Oh,
just to flip them off, just to know.
So I did want to bring this up because I felt like, to me, Chris Jericho had shades of Bret Hart, and let me explain.
Okay.
So during Bret Hart's feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin, there were shows in America and there were shows in Canada. And when we were in America, Bret Hart was a heel.
Yeah.
When we'd go to Canada, Bret Hart was the face, obviously.
Yep.
So I feel like they've built all this stuff up to kind of make Jericho this sympathetic face in the storyline, because they had the Jericho Appreciation Society turn on him.
Yep.
They had Don Callis turn on him.
Yep.
Like, I felt like they were, really kind of playing that up. And then we get to All In, and Jericho does literally
every heel move you can possibly imagine.
Everything he can think of, so much as to walking around the ring and flipping off the crowd. Like, he did everything he could to become a heel, which was great because that was in stark contrast to when he was singing himself to the ring.
Yeah, like he was he almost started out as a face when he came out, but then he knew. I think he knew they're in UK, they're in the Will Ospreay's neck of the woods. Will Ospreay was already the face. They were already like screaming for him. So like, let's just switch the roles. I'm the heel, you're the face. Let's go.
All right. So we had a little bit of post-match action in this one as well, as Sammy was in the ring with Jericho, and he was, trying to get the crowd to clap for Jericho and, give him the respect and all this. And Jericho stood up and he pushed Sammy away and walked out of the ring.
Jericho's burning bridges.
Burning bridges. I think that Jericho was okay with Sammy being around, but I don't think Jericho forgets what happened when the Appreciation Society
walked
walked
out
away
on
from
him.
him.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I think that he forgives, but he does not forget.
do you
So
think he just decides to go solo now? Like no JAS, no Don Callis family, just Jericho and Jericho alone.
I think that this is going to be a reinvention of Jericho's character. I think this is going to be like, the lone Lionheart. That's what
Yeah.
I would call
That would
him.
be a dope
The
name
lone
if they called him
Lionheart.
that. I would be down for that.
Yes,
That'd be sick.
anybody from AEW who's listening
Book
to
that.
this,
Make it happen.
Make that happen.
The lone Lionheart,
Yes.
Chris Jericho.
So then we get Nigel McGuinness in the ring, which everybody was all excited and they thought something interesting was going to happen, and then it didn't.
No, he just wanted to announce and be in the ring that they pretty much had a record-setting 81,035 in attendance, which I think for once that could be a legit number. I know in WWE they like to embellish their numbers to make them sound better.
Yeah.
But I also know that they were tracking the numbers pretty much the entire time it went on sale. So this could be an accurate number for
But a lot of
Wembley Stadium.
Well, a lot of these big shows that you look at have a tendency not to show the hard cam side, and then the hard cam side is not as full as you would think it would be. They panned around to the entire crowd in this building, and this was
booked.
packed to the rafters.
It was booked.
Yeah, you could not. You could not get any more people in there. I think it was really packed. And it was a great setup. The way they had everything set up, I really
like
good.
The small entrance ramp because it really puts emphasis on the fans being there rather than a really cool setup for the entranceway. It was simple but cool, but the fans were what made the entrance.
Yeah. So moving on, we get to our AEW Trios Championship match. The House of Black defending against the Acclaimed and the Bad A Billy Gunn.
The returning alternate version of Billy Gunn, which I know Ralph doesn't like.
Listen. I'm just gonna say it now. We cannot do a single show ever without saying something about a missed opportunity, and this was a missed opportunity because they went through all this stuff to get Billy Gunn to come back and blah blah blah, and the old Billy Gunn was coming back and all this
Billy
stuff,
Gunn.
And then they didn't do anything about it. Like they didn't have a separate entrance for him. They didn't have old music. They didn't do anything.
Well, the only idea I had was that they play Badass Billy Gunn's old theme. And Ralph here doesn't like that theme, nor does he like that old character. So he wasn't with it. But that would have been my way of doing it: is have him play his old theme, have him do the whole old school theme entrance just to pop the crowd just one more time, and then he walks out. That's it.
I wanted something that would show him a little respect, since they've made this big deal about him and like his retirement and all these things they're saying. And like I wanted something sort of, like DX era or like New Age Outlaw Billy Gunn, but we didn't get that. We got Billy Gunn coming out with the Acclaimed, which was fine because the Acclaimed rap was great.
And he did come out with a badass shirt and his old ring trunks, which is cool.
The old ring trunks were a little doctored because I did see scissors on them, so they weren't exactly.
They were an ode. It was like an ode to his old character. Match itself was surprisingly like just nuts. The stipulation that the Acclaim chose was
no holds barred.
No holds barred match, which was I think smart, and it just went off the rails as soon as it started.
Yeah. I will say, and the House of Black's entrance
was
Listen, for me, man. This was the entrance of the night. It was just phenomenal. They came out. They had all white on. They were all wearing the masks.
Buddy had the lantern, which was so cool that he brought out the lantern, and
it was very cool.
And even Nigel said, obviously, condolences to Bray Wyatt, aka when Rotunda. He even mentioned the Fireflies are out tonight. I just love, I love nuanced like that, where it wasn't about the whole show, but it was just tiny little tributes, just to say, hey, we recognize and acknowledge the greatness that is this character, even though he was never in AEW. But Buddy was his friend because I'm sure they worked together in WWE. So I love that he put the lantern down and they just walked by it. It's just.
But their ring gear was incredible.
It was awesome. They all wore masks.
Everybody had the masks. Julia had a mask. When they took the masks off, the three of them all had the white face paint on. It was just the presentation of the House of Black tonight. I thought was the absolute best that they've had since the House of Black started. They really stepped it up for All In London, and it was my entrance of the night.
It was so good,
phenomenal.
Better than Sting.
Yeah, okay. I actually liked it better than Sting.
Okay.
So Crazy stuff in this match. Just crazy stuff. The chair shot on Brody
Oh my god! Talk about a
was
headshot.
one of the hardest
Man.
shots I've ever seen. I mean, you have to go back to like
JBL and like Eddie Guerrero.
or Brock Lesnar taking a chair shot. There was a really bad one.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Or Vince McMahon would never raise his hands and would just take the full chair shot.
Chair shot. Yeah,
But
this was just
This was up there.
Billy Gunn chucked the chair at Brody, and Brody just took it, ate it,
Yeah, and the chair actually opened up and folded
wrapped around his head. Yeah, that's how
Mhm.
hard Billy Gunn threw it at his head.
Yeah.
Also, Billy Gunn is like 59, so again, he and Sting, age does not matter. They can still go. and Billy Gunn is a brick house.
I was honestly shocked at Billy Gunn that he was able to get enough air to hit a famouser.
Oh, multiple
multiple,
Famousers,
but
and
just
one on Brody King.
Yeah,
that one was big
incredible. So we get an elbow drop on Brody from
Max Caster
for the win, and we get a little triple scissor me action at the end. Oh, we forgot the big spot.
Got the big spot. Well, one of my favorite spots is when they scissor me timbers Julia Hart.
Yeah,
and that was fantastic.
She got herself involved in the match, and let me tell you, she paid for it.
And she sold it like she got hit in the balls, which was my favorite part.
Listen, like they technically leg dropped the leg, so
yeah.
I mean, she sold, but yeah,
that was a great spot.
So we have new AEW Trios champions in the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. So, of course, at the end, they said, we promised you that we would bring you back to the top, that we would bring you gold, even though the belts are silver. But I'm sure they'll
change them back now because they had them silver and black when they changed it for the House of Black. They're all dark and stuff. So,
but it's exciting though. It'll be interesting to see. And I brought this up right after the match. It'll be interesting to see where the House of Black goes from here.
Yeah, I think they just go somehow higher. I don't know if that makes any sense. I think you can have like Malachi now go for a singles title with them by his side.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be the TNT belt or the belt. I think the TNT belt would be more, at least for now, for Malachi, and until they go the big route for the world title.
Yeah. All right. So this brings us to the main event. Your new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions facing off against each other in what has been one of the most anticipated matches probably that I can remember in maybe the last 20 years.
Such a great feud.
With the exception of Jey Uso and Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This match is right up there. MJF and Adam Cole.
They told such a good story. MJF's entrance.
Yo, if you did not see MJF
so good,
find it somehow. Find somebody that can show it to you.
His robe,
he came down to the ring on this big stage, sitting on a throne, and it was incredible. I don't even know how to describe it. It was just great.
His mask was awesome. The robe was like this.
The robe was incredible.
This purple, like perfectly.
It had the big
it had the
faces
Burberry
on the shoulder,
like within
the Burberry trim.
Dude,
it was tremendous.
It was so good, and they weaved such a good story about both of them teasing, turning on the other one, but both of them, but they couldn't, but they just couldn't make themselves to do it. Adam Cole hits a brutal tombstone onto the announce table that just didn't break. There were just so many crazy spots, so many crazy stories. Roderick at one point came out, and I was surprised that he helped Adam Cole. I thought he was going to turn on him. I was more shocked about that. He instead hit MJF with the low blow, and that teased another 2.9999 pinfall. Bryce got bumped, heavily got bumped. He took a freaking Panama Sunrise like a champion.
Oh yeah. I mean, unreal. So I was taking notes during this match, so I'm just going to run down these notes because these are all great moments from the match.
So
a match that you need to see.
You need to see.
So the two of them were in the ring at the beginning, and they were kind of going back and forth, and they decided to put on the Better Than Bebe shirts, which would become a big thing later on.
Oh yeah.
At one point, MJF decided to get a sportsmanship chant going, and then immediately poked Adam Cole in the eye,
which is just classic MJF.
At one point, Cole starts berating MJF, just screaming at him and yelling at him. And
I'm better than you.
And MJF takes the shirt off. At one point, and this was great. MJF started Well, he was up on the top rope and he was doing the 10 count, and instead of hitting number 10, he bit Cole in the face.
Yeah.
And Nigel McGuinness on commentary said, "What tastes better than a best friend?"
Yeah, that was a comment.
So Cole hit. Now look, there were a lot of crazy moves during the night and moves that looked bad, like as far as like people getting like really hit.
Smashed.
This was the worst for me. Cole gave a brain buster to MJF
Oh,
on the
man,
steel
it looked
stairs
so
outside,
good.
and it was unbelievable.
He sold it as if he actually got concerned that maybe he went too far.
Oh yeah. So as you mentioned, MJF tried to do the tombstone through Adam Cole on the announce table, but couldn't do it. Of course, Cole did it, and then the table did not break. And it was interesting though, because I'm trying to remember somebody on commentary mentioned that the reason the table didn't break is because there was a steel support through.
There was a steel support that was holding up. That's why only the bottom broke throughout the night and not the top.
Listen, that steel support must have cost more than the entire.
Seriously,
table.
because that was the one table that would not break, and the other tables always break.
The table would not break, yet they broke every other.
They broke every part of it, just not the top part.
Adam Cole hits a Canadian Destroyer to MJF, and as MJF is falling toward the ground, he kicks Adam Cole in the face. It was just a phenomenal moment.
So many good back and forths within this match. So many good story bumps, like with the friendship, where again MJF just couldn't pull certain triggers. Adam Cole just couldn't pull certain triggers. They just couldn't get past that best friend thing.
So we get to the end, and there's a double clothesline. We get the double pin.
False finish, which I don't even think should have happened, but I guess understand why it happened.
Bryce calls for the draw. Cole asks for 5 more minutes, and MJF says no.
Nope.
And then he gets up and he says, "We're not going to be able to do this in 5 minutes. We're going until there's a winner."
Going until there's an effing winner.
Yeah. So then Bryce gets knocked out. They're tossing a chair back and forth, trying to figure out who's going to do something with it, and nobody wanted to do it. So Adam Cole fell down on the ground like he had been hit with the chair. So then MJF wrapped the chair around his own head, and
he fell down,
completely outsmarting him.
Smart.
Cole hit a straightjacket German on the apron, which was amazing. At one point, Michael Cole did a Panama Sunrise from the apron outside the ring onto MJF, which again was just sick looking. Bryce took a Panama Sunrise from the top rope, which was crazy. Roderick comes out and kicks MJF in the nuts. We get a Panama Sunrise and the last shot, but it's only a 2 count.
A very long 2 count.
Yes.
Because Bryce is like literally sold that like he was dead.
Yeah.
So when he did the pin, it was like the slowest 3 count you could possibly imagine.
So then Roderick throws the belt into the ring and says to Adam Cole, "Do it. I'm your best friend." Cole rips the Better Than You Baby shirt off and throws it out of the ring like he's going to do it. And as Cole picks up the belt, he's getting ready, and he just can't do it. He throws the belt out of the ring, tells Roddy to get out, and MJF rolls him up for the win.
Yep, for the win.
So the after-match stuff was even as crazy as the match itself, because MJF just teed off on Adam Cole, like flipped out on him, saying, we were friends, and you're only doing this for the belt.
Yeah.
And so he's like, if you want the belt, take the effing belt, and he throws it at him. And so then
hit me, basically, like hit me, like do it.
And of course, Adam Cole couldn't do it. MJF goes out of the ring. He's like, I know. He goes out of the ring. He grabs the Ring of Honor tag titles, comes in. The two of them make up.
Yep.
They celebrate in streams of confetti. Blowing all over the building.
So much confetti.
And you have your happy ending for All In.
Yes. So overall, how would you rate All In? What were your expectations going in, and do you think it was worth those expectations?
All right. So I'm going to give you a couple of things.
All right.
Number one, I think it met expectations. I think it exceeded expectations at points. I think it was for being labeled as the most important show in wrestling history, the biggest show in wrestling history. I think it was. I think it definitely lived up to those terms. It was really great. I mean, I would give it a 10 out of 10 because I enjoyed every single.
I was having a blast the entire time.
I would say if I had to pick one, I would say that my favorite match was probably Punk and Joe. I think that set the tone of the show.
That was a perfect match to start off.
It was phenomenal. So that was my favorite match. But if I had to pick best match of the night, I mean, I'd probably have to go with for me, Young Bucks and FTR.
That was just a
I
phenomenal
think it was just a
match.
banger from beginning
whole
to end. So what? Give me your rating, and then what was your favorite match, and what match did you think was the best?
Like a 12 out of 10. Like, just I was going in kind of like I didn't know what to expect because this was their first like big Mania caliber pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But and the matches on paper looked decent, but I feel like people thought there were certain matches that should have been on the card that weren't on the card, but of course with injuries and stuff that couldn't happen.
Right.
Like they teased Nigel, I think teased that the only reason why he didn't wrestle was because Brian was injured, and then he would have wrestled Brian if he was cleared to wrestle. But Brian is not wrestling, so he can't wrestle.
Yeah,
broken forearm and all that stuff. But no, my favorite match is so hard because they were all just so good and exciting to see, and they were just really good. Oh man, I mean, Joe and Punk was a great match to start, but I think Will Ospreay and Jericho lived up to the hype that they did. Will's promo on the Wednesday before was just a phenomenal promo to push the match.
Oh, absolutely.
He was just so passionate about that. I need to beat you. You know, I'm the best. I need to prove to you I'm the best. Let's go a little bit controversial. What was your least favorite match on the card? They were all good, but there has to be a least favorite.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I really had to pin down a least favorite, I wasn't super invested into House of Black
versus the
Acclaimed. My thing there though is that honestly, like if I had to pick my favorite entrance of the night, it was House of Black easily.
Oh, so good.
I thought House of Black's presentation all night long was just phenomenal. I just thought it was great. So for me, I guess I would have to pick that one. If I, gun to my head, that would be the
if
one
we're nitpicking, you know,
just nitpicking.
Just,
sure.
But yeah, I think my least favorite. If I had to pick one, it's so hard because there's so many good matches in the card that because all of them were just really good. I think the only one I guess I could say was my least was probably just because of like how I felt was Aussie Open versus Better Than You Baby. It was a great match for the 0 hour, but like you said, what happens with the ROH World Titles now that it goes to MJF and Adam Cole? Do fans actually watch ROH now that the champion and Adam Cole are on or might be on the show going forward? Does this bring more buyers for the Honor Club? Like, what does this do for Ring of Honor?
Is this going to be a situation where we really only see the Ring of Honor titles defended on like Dynamite or Collision? We don't know.
We don't know what's going to happen with those belts. That's why that's probably laser, just because that is now in the unknown of what happens to the belts.
And I think this is epidemic of the problem they have overall with the separation between AEW and Ring of Honor, where there basically is none.
Yeah, because I think Khan is trying to get ROH on a major TV, and I think he's been trying, but
they should have just made Rampage.
Just wants Dynamite and Collision, and I don't think they want ROH.
They should have made Rampage and a Ring of Honor show. But whatever. I mean, that's neither here nor there. But I think just a great show overall. I really am hard pressed to find anything that I could really nitpick on.
Yeah, there really wasn't anything like bad about it. It was just they pulled it off.
It was just fun from beginning to end, and it seemed like a big show. It
felt like a big show. They had special entrances abound.
Yeah. The entranceway was amazing.
The entranceway was simple but great. The limo was awesome with Jack Perry. They had the entrance with House of Black, with Sting and bringing his old theme back. That was cool.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks with their new theme before the theme, that was really cool. Like they just gave people like big entrances. Like MJF had his own big entrance, which was just God. Anytime MJF is on the screen, me and Ralph are like, we've both been following him for so long now that it's just great to see him just making it. Like the fact that they trusted him to be the main event of their first big show just goes to show you the talent that MJF really is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we've got some stuff coming up that we want to tell you guys about now that we've wrapped up our All In live reaction show. Next week, we've got a big episode. We've got Big Dan Champion coming on next week, who is our big guest to talk about the Steel Stacks SmackDown 2 show.
Which will be in 2 weeks.
To talk about our top 5 big champions.
the big ones.
Yes.
Not like the big time, but like the giants, if
Yeah.
you will. The giants of wrestling.
So we're definitely excited to have Big Dan Champion on next week. Then the following week, woo woo woo, it's a special episode because that's my birthday week.
Yes, that's my birthday week.
Woohoo! So we're gonna be talking. Well, I'm gonna be talking my top 5 Stone Cold Steve Austin matches.
And we're gonna be talking
you'll
to
join in,
Johnny Pierce,
and we
probably.
have Johnny Pierce
Big
on
boy
the show.
Johnny Pierce, one half
my-
of the Cold Hard Guapos
Yeah.
with Diego.
Very exciting for my birthday show. And then the following week,
We're gonna be at Steel Stacks.
it is Steel Stacks
Steel Stacks
SmackDown
SmackDown
time.
2,
So
baby.
listen, if you have not gotten your tickets for Steel Stacks
Do it.
SmackDown 2,
It is
they
limited.
are
Very limited.
It is getting down to the
Standing
wire.
room only.
Ringside is sold out. Balcony is sold out. General admission is close to selling out. So get those tickets as soon as you can. You are not going to want to miss this show.
So many good names on there.
They just added Wheeler Yuta today.
Wheeler Yuta's now there. D'Lo Brown, the Godfather, Alpha Jr. So many good names.
Ring
Big
of
Dan's
Honor's
gonna be there.
Delirious.
Delirious is gonna be
Big
there.
Dan's gonna be
Frightmare.
there. Yeah, Frightmare.
So many big names gonna be there.
Becca's going to be there. It's going to be a huge show.
It's gonna be a big show.
You do not want to miss this, and we will be there as well.
We will be there. If you see us with our shirts, please come say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a couple of big shows, a couple of big weeks coming up. Very exciting stuff. So, Sean, where can people find you online?
Find me at Parma Cheezel. Ralph, where can they find you?
They can find me at Real Ralph 316.
Just a note, I for the longest time thought it was 0316. So I'm glad that I was wrong, and it's just Real Ralph 316.
It is Real Ralph 316. You can find us online at Opinion City Pod on all the socials. You can follow at Mancast Network on all the socials. We got a lot of big stuff coming up.
Facebook, Instagram, Threads,
Yeah.
Twitter, well, X, whatever.
Check
you wanna
those.
call it now.
Check all of those for all the announcements. We've got some big stuff coming up. We got some surprises coming up. So just keep with us there, and we will be back next week after we wind down from all this all-in excitement.
Yes.
We will be back next week, and we will see you all then.
We will see you next time. Ciao.